Hey everyone, welcome. This is Simon. Today we're going to be talking about the great conjunction of 2020. And if you're not an astrologer, well, you're in luck because I'm going to be giving you a lot of the meanings, things you can expect, and some of the insights about this conjunction without a lot of technical stuff. But also, we will be doing, for you astrologers out there, I'll be showing you how we got there and why these predictions are being made. But before we launch into that, what do you guys think about this background? No back. Here's where I really am. Okay, I'm on a couch here somewhere on an island, and this is the virtual background. What do you think? All right, I'm going to stay with the virtual background. What do you think? The couch or virtual? Just leave me a comment. Let me know if these things work for you or not. I kind of like more natural like this. This is like me at home. Anyway, I'm going to do the virtual for now because this is a very cosmic kind of event that only happens once in many centuries. And what we're talking about is the Jupiter Saturn conjunction, which is not very rare. It happens every 20 years. But this particular conjunction is not only a conjunction by longitude, like this, but also by latitude. So, what does that mean? Well, let's see, I don't have a good example of this, but longitude, let's say you have one city here. Let's say it's Mexico City. This is probably not correct. And let's say you have a city up here. Let's say it's Boise, Idaho. Okay. Well, Boise and Mexico City are on the same longitude. So normally in astrology, they're called conjunct, even though they're thousands of miles apart. But and that's good enough, right? But to be conjunct also by latitude means that now we're zeroing in, or by declination, we're zeroing in on an exact location. So both of these planets are going to be exactly occupying the exact same spot in the sky, exactly on December 21st. And here in Hawaii, it's going to be at 9 a.m. You can see the Jupiter and Saturn will be at 6 degrees, 20 minutes right here on December 21st, 9 in the morning. But here's the thing, this has already begun, or in fact, it's about to begin. And what do I mean by that? So in astrology, we have something called a planetary war that happens when two planets get within 1 degree of each other by longitude. Okay, so Jupiter's at 4 here, Saturn's at 5. So that's today, that's right now. If I go forward 1 day, boom, you can see that Jupiter. Now, okay, you guys said, hey, I thought you were going to talk astrology. Okay, I'm going to talk a little astrology, but I'll get to what all of this means. I promise you. So here we have Jupiter at 4 degrees 25, Saturn at 525 or 524. That is technically a what we call a planetary war. And a planetary war means two planets are vying for the same space in the sky. It means there's going to be great conflict between what those planets represent. And this is going to play into the meaning, which I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to go into this in a minute. But for the astrologers, I got to give you a little bit of background here. Now, how do we win a planetary war? How do we know who wins this war? There are two ways. Now, I know you've probably learned some ways, like some planet that has a lesser longitude. Forget about that. That's nonsense. The the way our ancient sky forebears determined the planetary war winner was they simply looked at the sky. And there are two ways. The first way is just see which is the brighter planet, because that planet is going to have more Shakti, more power to defeat the other planet. So if you just look outside right now, you'll see that Jupiter is, in fact, the much brighter planet at the moment. And that means that generally Saturn doesn't win very many planetary wars because he is the faintest planet in the sky, although I suppose it's possible if he's very close to the Earth at the time. But in this case, he's not. So um, the second way a planetary war is determined is the planet that has the higher declination, that has the higher space in the sky, that has the higher ground, if you will, right? Because even when we go to the Olympics, right, the winner has, they have them on three little pods, right? The gold medalist has the highest spot, the silver medalist has the second, and the bronze medalist has the third. The person with the highest position is the winner of the planetary war. The way you determine that is by looking at the declination, and that is a value. uh, I thought you said you weren't going to get technical. Okay, just 5 more minutes, relax, and we'll get to all the predictions. I promise. I'm just hearing somebody out there. So the way we do that is we do that by looking at the declination. Declination is exactly which who has the higher podium. There can be positive declination or negative. Here you see that Jupiter's value is 0 degrees 13 minutes. You see Saturn's value is 0 degrees 6 minutes. It's maybe a little hard to see. Here's Saturn, 0 degrees 6 minutes. Here is Jupiter, 0 degrees 13 minutes. Very close to each other, right? That's why they're kissing, because this is the kissing conjunction, the great conjunction of 2020 between Jupiter and Saturn, because they're together not only by longitude, but also by latitude. You get it? So they're not just, one planet up here and then one planet way down here. And we say because they're on the same line, they're conjunct. They are on the same line, but they're also on the same line this way. So they will literally be like this, right on top of each other. But the point is, the planet on top is the planet Jupiter. So Jupiter is not only brighter, he has the higher declination, and therefore Jupiter is the winner of this planetary war. And I know some of you say, but wait, Jupiter's debilitated. Saturn's in his own sign. Doesn't matter. For planetary war, the victor is the one with either the higher declination or the brighter planet, ideally both, right? So there you have it. So what does all of this mean? Okay, well, a planetary war tends to activate the nakshatra, the star, the asterism that it happens in. So every 20 years, we have a Jupiter Saturn conjunction, and it gives us the themes of that asterism. In this case, it's called Uttara Ashada, which is the constellation of patience, forbearance, and victory. Now, let me share my screen here. Um, Actually, I'm not going to share the screen. I'm just going to talk about it. In my Nakshatras course, we talk about some of the inner meanings of this nakshatra, which are, if you plan something now, if you diligently go after it, you will succeed. But there are a lot of setbacks associated with this star. Why? Because astrologically, again, I got 2 minutes left with my astrology, then we'll go into full prediction mode. Astrologically speaking, this is also happening in the first Drekana of Capricorn, which is a Pasha Drekana or Nigarda Drekana, which means a noose, something, or a net or trap, something that binds you. So you will feel bound, you will feel stuck, and particularly, well, I'll get to that in the interpretation. However, this is also happening very close to the where the Abhijit Nakshatra is supposed to be, between 6 degrees 40 minutes and just over 10 degrees in Capricorn. Now, it's not going to start there, but that conjunction will, the planetary war, the battle will carry through into Abhijit Nakshatra. Okay. So it's like, two people fighting in a bar, and then they roll outside and they continue fighting outside, and then they roll down the hill and they go into someone's house, and then they end up by the river. I don't know what movies I'm watching, but it happens. So the fight will start outside of Abhijit, but it will go into it. So there are a lot of mixed symbols here, mixed interpretations. And here is what it boils down to. In my opinion, this is a harbinger of a number of things. So first of all, the deity of the symbol of this nakshatra of Uttarashada is the tusk of the elephant. And so this is associated with Ganesha. And this says that if you've ever, seen an elephant or even seen an elephant run, you know that you don't want to be in front of it, right? So if you're in front of it, you will get destroyed. The trees will come down. Now, they say elephants don't really run over people, but I don't know. But if you follow the elephants who run through the forest, break down all the brush, now you have a clear pathway forward, right? So this conjunction is about a war between our two natures, our higher nature and our lower nature. The higher nature is represented by Jupiter, lower nature by Saturn. Now, I know Saturn can be a very spiritual planet. It can represent our higher nature, but um, iconically, I guess you can say, stereotypically, Jupiter is sort of represents the higher leanings towards dharma, towards righteousness, towards goodness, and Saturn represents the lower leanings towards selfishness and ego. Now I know some of you are gonna protest here, but this is the case. Saturn is the planet that tends to pull us to our lower nature, the selfish nature, because it is the most concrete. It concretizes it's the farthest from the sun, which is the Atma, right? The sun is sattva, is purity, is and light, and Saturn is the planet farthest from it. In any case, so this conjunction is a harbinger of a battle that will happen in some area of our lives. It could be, look, I want to move to Toledo, but my wife wants to stay in LA. Or I want to start this diet, but another part of me does not want to do this diet. I want to become a musician, but another part of me says be an accountant. You get it? You're going to be torn between two things. And so what you have to look at is, which is your better nature? Which thing represents the best of you? And you have to fight for that, because your dark nature will be very strong. Saturn is very strong here and will want to pull you down. And if you succumb to it, you will regret it. It's like being in front of the elephants. You ultimately it will bring you down. So this can also be, if you're a podcaster or an internet troll or someone, and you let your lower nature come out and you start going after people, negative comments. You're this, you're that. You don't know anything. If you let that take you, it will it will drive you down. It will drive you into unrighteousness, if you will, if we want to use these words. So basically, this is a battle between light and dark, good and evil, if you will. Use whatever terms work for you. And you will see this expressed in your life starting, especially between December 12th through December 30th. So the Great Conjunction actually happens December 21st, but the planetary war will be going on much longer. It will be going on from the 12th to the 30th, so full 18 days or so. And during that time, the every effort you make to stay on the light side, practice the Christmas spirit, the Hanukkah um, spirit, and so forth. Um, Practice being, the virtues that are right for you. And if you have decisions to make, you want to cheat on your husband or stay with your husband, decide which one is the higher decision, right? You want to, um, I don't know, spend your money or save your money. Choose the one that is your higher calling, whatever the decision, wherever you're torn, because everyone's horoscope will have this happening somewhere differently, you see? So for you, one person, it may be in their house of health, and another person, it may be in their house of relationships, another person in their house of travel, in the house of the guru, you may be stuck between two teachers. So follow your higher nature. This is the lesson here. So astrologically, this is going to last through the end of the year, and any resolutions you make now are likely to bear fruit, because this nakshatra, this star, is especially associated with patient perseverance. Here you can see a little bit about Abhijit. Let me take you to Uttara Ashada. The whole point of this nakshatra is to overcome any obstacle with 2 steps forward, 1 step back. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Now, one of the secret meanings of this nakshatra is that this is the star of child making or spouse making, not in actually making, but meaning if you want to groom your child to become a tennis player or a golfer or a whatever, or you want to groom your spouse to become, the great person that you think they are, this is the time you begin it during this kind of nakshatra. And within the next 20 years, I know it's a big length of time, it will bear its fruit. Because remember, this conjunction will stress the meanings of the nakshatra that is associated with it. Now, if you want to get the full course of this nakshatra course, you can go to nakshatrasecrets.com and order it there, or decodingvedicwisdom.com, which is my website with all of my courses. Okay, and you can find out a lot more about the sort of the secret meanings of some of these nakshatras. Like, for example, people with this star are very frank and very blunt. They want you to tell it like it is, say what you mean, start beating around the bush, and they tend to be tend to not like a lot of you know they tend to be a little vulgar sometimes, let's say. So in their speech, they don't mind using salty language. That's another of the little meanings of the star. Another meaning is break in education. So if you're torn between going to school, not going to school, you really have to meditate on, think about, is my going to school serving the higher part of my nature? Or am I going to school out of fear because I think I may not have a job? Or is it fear driving me? Or is it, trying to fulfill my destiny that's driving me? These are all things you have to think about. And this battle ultimately, I believe, will be won by goodness and righteousness. But a lot of people, thousands, maybe millions of people, will fall to the dark side. And they will, because it's easier. It's easier to succumb to your lower nature and become an internet troll, right? And just make comments for no reason, things that don't serve anybody. Oh, I noticed there's a hair on your thing. Okay, on your microphone, or whatever, right? So is that what you're going to spend your time on, or are you going to go out and actually do something to benefit not only yourself but your family, your society, and so forth? And I already know, I know from looking at this chart, Saturn is very strong. A lot of people will succumb to their lower nature. They will pick, cheating on the spouse. They will pick the not following the diet. They're going to pick the wrong thing. The problem is, you're going to, I hate to say it, but you're going to suffer the results of it. Things that happen in this nakshatra will bind you. They will serve to bind you later, so that your choices later down the line will be limited. Okay, you cheated on your spouse. This is just an example. And then, a month from now, they find out, they want a divorce, and they want half your money or whatever. Now you can't see your kids. So your choices become more and more limited, you see, when you fall to, I keep using this language, but when you fall to the energy of Saturn, because Capricorn is a tamasic sign, a dark sign. Saturn is a tamasic dark planet. And I love Saturn. I love all the planets. I love all the signs as well, but we have to call them for what they are. And so don't be one of those millions. Be one of those who triumphs by making the hard decisions and picking the right things to do. This is the time, guys. This is it. This is your chance. A lot of resolutions at the end of the year are just bull, because they're really meaningless. The resolutions you make now are really meaningful. So anyway, enough browbeating from me. If you have questions, leave them at the in the comments. Let's see what else. So I've already mentioned in a number of prior videos that I think economically, especially for the United States, this will signal a very difficult time. So get ready. You got to really buckle down and get ready for at least the next 6 months. Okay. Um, and even if you're doing well now, buckle down, tighten your belt, and because things may get tough. Um, Politically, I've already made my predictions politically. You can see those elsewhere. Um, but we will come out of this, obviously. There's also an eclipse happening here during this time on December 14th. A couple days from now, that eclipse will hit South America. So particularly the economy of Argentina and those countries in that area will be affected over the next 6 months, or there may be kind of a radical split between two sides, just as there was in the United States when the solar eclipse split the U.S. U.S. became very splintered, kind of like right along the north-south, the Mason-Dixon line, along those values. So we replayed that for the last couple of years. So this is happening now in South America. So if you live in these countries or if you have investments there, just be aware that there's going to be some volatility there as well. Um, what else? I think that's it. So remember, Jupiter wins the planetary war, but when you're in a war, nobody really wins. Even the side that wins has casualties, right? Is traumatized. The soldiers come home with PTSD. So a war is a war, and it it it, it helps us understand that we have to focus on healing afterwards, whether you won the war or lost. So pick the side of Jupiter, pick your better angels to listen to over the next 2-3 weeks, and the results will be victory. Pick the dark side, pick your sort of your worst angels, and I'm saying this for myself too, by the way. And you will pay the price. You will experience the constriction, the limitation of this position in the zodiac. All right. That's enough out of me. Hope this was useful to you guys, and I hope to see you in the next one. Namaste.